Alright, how's it going everybody? Sam here with the last of our character videos, and this one's going to be going over the cheesiest character in this whole game, and that is going to be the Whisper. And by cheese, it's just absolutely bonkers of a class, I have to say. For the Whisper, probably the hardest character to unlock. That's because you have to do the sacrificial ritual achievement. This achievement has been one that a lot of people have had some issues with, just based off wording, and sometimes they get unlucky because they're not standing on the circle. Basically, it's this achievement where you have to stand on the summoning circle on the third map and kill all of the bosses while you stand on it. And that is in itself a pretty difficult challenge, depending on, what upgrades you have, what class you are, etc, etc. So I have a video for that. If you guys need any help, definitely go give it a watch. It's a pretty straightforward explanation on how to do the challenge. The Whisper is the most recent character, and it has the highest SP cost, and that is for good reason, because if this had a lower SP cost, I think it would be absolutely more busted than it already is. I could probably do max modifiers if I really felt like it. Basically, you stop moving and you summon a spirit, and this spirit, you can do it and you get to move it around. The spirit deals damage, the spirit can pick up experience, the spirit can grab items like coins and hearts and the magnets and stuff like that, and you can walk back towards where your character is standing to pick those up. The spirit can draw away bosses target it, and map events also target these spirits. So like the specters on the third map, they will target the spirit, so you don't have to actually worry about them at all. And the extra best part about the Whisper is that you aren't able to be damaged by this is so silly. You're not able to be damaged by projectiles or boss skills while you're summoning the spirit. And that in itself is absolutely absurd. The Whisper is so strong. And on top of that, you recover 10 HP and SP each time an enemy takes damage from a spirit. So you recover HP like a mad lad. You don't have to worry about dying. And then the SP is also relevant because as you're casting your ability, you can cast your ability multiple times. And so this summons extra spirits, which I'll show you later on. And because of that, you don't have to worry about anything. Like, you just can't die. It's absolutely absurd. So the Whisper is the class that I do a lot of my crazy modifier runs with, or any of the easy modifier runs that help people farm gemstones. Whisper is the thing to do. And then at level 20 and level 40, it just increases the spirit movement speed, which is relevant, but for the most part, you don't move. For heritages, Whisper actually works really well with statue, but again, there's no reason to play statue unless you're just memeing. Merchant, good and bad. I mean, really, you don't move a lot. So the merchant works, but I don't recommend it because there are certain passives and weapon skills you probably want to pick up when you're playing the Whisper, especially when you do modifier runs. Summoner, always do this if you're having issues with projectiles, but the Whisper in itself should already handle that problem with you, so you should never have to play the Summoner. The Voidwalker is pretty good for this class because you don't actually move that often, so enemies still target your body even when you're casting your Whisper. So the Voidwalker is extremely helpful in this situation because as enemies hit you, they take damage as well, so it's just a very strong combination. Poxbringer and Berserker, these two very interesting. Poxbringer, it's nice because you're going to be healing anyways, so you get that double damage. It's also really strong for bosses, but I don't generally go any other class than the Nomad for those extra rolls. But the Berserker, this is one of the classes, this is the only class where I will say 100% play Berserker whenever you want to. The reason being, the HP regen from your weapon skill works with Berserker, so it's just basically free double damage, and your HP regen is absolutely insane. It's 10 HP each time you hit an enemy. So you'll have 10 to 15 of these spirits out, and you just hit every single thing on the screen, and that's 150, 200 HP reach in a second. Absolutely absurd. I go the Nomad because the Nomad is the best class. It just is. I don't know what to tell you guys. The Nomad Heritage, one just looks like you're in your PJs, you got your onesie on, but the Nomad Heritage is so helpful when you're playing these modifier runs, and that's why I generally go towards those. So we'll do this modifier run, we'll do the 120 times just so I can show you how stupid this class is and why I recommend it to everybody. So these are the modifiers. If you've watched the gemstone farm, this is the same modifier that I go when I'm doing 120 times. This nets you like 1230 gemstones, so you only have to run it a couple times, and then you have all your pet upgrades. So enemy speed maxed out, player speed I do -99 and not 100 so that I could barely move if I need to get a chest. Player damage doesn't matter, enemy HP doesn't matter, player HP, mess around with this whatever you're comfortable with. I leave it at like 50, so I feel a little bit better about myself. Basically, you'll take damage, but like, it doesn't matter how much damage I take, no matter what, I'm gonna be regenning more HP than I'm taking. So that's why the Whisper works so well in these situations, because it's just dumb, like absolutely dumb. And then you'll pick up things like Purifying Circle, Colorless Glyph, and stuff like that. And then specifically when you're doing these modifier runs, you're gonna want to pick up Death Sting that you actually have some clear. But for the most part, you really could go whatever it is you want and have almost no issues with this. It only gets dicey occasionally, but for the most part, you don't have any issues. The Whisper is one of the classes where I would recommend that you could do any build that you want, honestly, because it just doesn't really matter. I mean, with the modifier runs, sometimes you'll get into sticky situations, so I would always prioritize things like Miniaturize for the increased evasion, things like Death Sting so that I'm able to kill these enemies, because while they're getting hit thousands of times at a time, it still takes a long time for me to kill them. So having something like Death Sting where I get that 1% chance to kill no matter what HP they have, which is very strong for this situation, you could do whatever it is you want. So this is what I was talking about in regards to multiple spirits. As you hit enemies, you get SP, this helps you cast more, and each one of these gives you HP regen and SP regen, so it just kind of stacks infinitely on itself. And I'll do this for the next 30 minutes and not die. I don't need to move my mouse or anything like that. I don't need to aim anything. The only time I recommend moving off is whenever a boss spawns, and it takes a little bit to kill the bosses, but for the most part, this is just free gemstones, honestly. And you'll hardly ever see your HP go lower than half. Colorless Glyph is a big part of this, but this is what makes the Whisper just absolutely insane. This is like the epitome of cheese in this game. I'm taking endless amounts of damage, but it doesn't matter. It just absolutely does not matter at all. And I love it and I hate it at the same time. The other thing is, all of the map modifiers have to do with projectiles. So it's like there's enhanced projectiles, the bosses have special abilities that make them deal more damage as well as increase their casts. And then the last modifier is that the map events are more insane. So like you'll see whenever the guys spawn, you can go, I'll link the gemstone run so you can actually see what it looks like. But it makes it to where the map specters, there's like 15 of them, but I just like move my guys up here and then they go over there. Even if you don't move them, if you're in this casting, those technically are classified as projectiles and they don't damage you because of that. So this is easily the most overpowered class in the game, without a doubt. It's just extremely strong. It combines with all of the weapon skills so well. And I just think there's things that nobody could have thought about when they were creating this character. And it's just now kind of coming to light. Now that we got Death Sting, it's like I will slowly kill these very quickly, which is a contradiction, but it's like, it doesn't matter how much damage I'm doing. It only matters how much damage I'm dealing, like how often. Because if I proc Death Sting as I hit these 1,000 times, there's a 1% chance, so I'm sure I'll destroy him eventually. And once you get past like this point, you're good to go. You're never gonna have any issues with this. So if you're having any issues with literally anything in this game, the Whisper is going to be the way to defeat it. Whisper is a class I'd recommend to every single player in this game. I think it is the strongest class. It's not my favorite because the Cultist is just really funny to play, but this is the class that's going to make anything possible. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do in the beta updates with the evolution pass. I have a feeling it'll probably be somewhat of a nerf, and that's fine because the class is absolutely busted. As you can see, there's almost no mobs around me now because Death Sting works so well, and I don't have any issues anymore. So, as always, guys, I really appreciate the support. If you've been liking the content, definitely give a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Lets me know that this is the kind of content that you guys want to see. And I hope to see you on the next one.